Hello everybody and welcome back to Forever United TV. We have got your morning updates, everything you need to know about Manchester United, all the news in and around Old Trafford. We got you covered, setting you up for your day bright and early. If you're on the school run, you may be just waking up, you may be just finishing up from the gym, I don't know. You could be doing anything right now, but we have got you fully up to date with all the Manchester United gossip, injury news, updates, under 21s, first team, Ruben AMORIM, everything you want, all in one live show. Get into the live comments if you are able to. And obviously put your comments in afterwards if you cannot get in the live chat. Hit that subscribe button to be involved in the live chat as well if you haven't already. Give the video a like and let's get started. What are we talking this morning? We're talking Joshua Zirkzee again and news that's circulating from big media outlets in Italy about him possibly leaving Manchester United in January and going over to his former club. Well, the former manager, Thiago Motta at Juventus, wants him there apparently. We have more news from this side of Europe as well in terms of the British side of things and the outlook from what they're saying with Zirkzee. Would it be the biggest transfer flop ever if Zirkzee is sold within 6 months of arriving at Manchester United? Should we give Joshua Zirkzee a bleeding chance as well? Like, seriously, the new manager's in and everybody has written Zirkzee off because of what happened with Ten Hag. Ten Hag didn't get much out of many players, did he? So should we not be giving Zirkzee a chance like everybody else under the new manager AMORIM? Let's get into the stories, let's get talking, and let's see what is going on with all of these reports around Joshua Zirkzee at the moment. In fairness, Alfred Padula has one who's been talking about this as well off the back of the story and the rumour from Italy. And he said Ruben AMORIM will decide if Zirkzee is considered suitable for the project. If United decides to go for a strike at the departure of him in January, it's all pretty much rumours, hypothesis basically, saying, look, it is all just being made up at the moment because Joshua Zirkzee is out of favour and other clubs in Italy do admire him. Like Motta really likes him. Obviously, he was his manager over in Bologna. Bologna obviously let go of Zirkzee to Manchester United. Motta left Bologna as well. He's now at Juve. And apparently from the media circles in Italy, they're saying that Juventus want to sign Joshua Zirkzee. Thiago Motta, who worked with the Dutchman at Bologna, wants him to compete with Dusan Vlahovic. We will see if that is true. Another story coming out from another media outlet in Italy is that Manchester United are considering offloading Joshua Zirkzee in January, with clubs in Syria monitoring developments. I cannot see United selling Joshua Zirkzee. I mean, can you really see United loaning them as well? Ineos don't look at first team players and loan them out. They're usually sold, going off what happened in the last summer. But personally, I cannot see Joshua Zirkzee leaving in January because I don't see United bringing another forward in. And Nkunku has said that he would be open to moving to Manchester United. Yeah, of course he would. Of course he would. He sees an opportunity there, but we don't want cast-offs. I'm not saying Nkunku isn't a great player. He was brilliant before he came to Chelsea, but has never obviously hit the mark because of injuries. So really, I'm giving Nkunku a wide berth. United, I don't think, would even be in for Nkunku. Other strikers, I can only see coming in the summer. So Joshua Zirkzee surely stays, doesn't he? You can totally see why the rumour mill is rife with Joshua Zirkzee talk and everything that's circulating around Italy. People putting two and two together for certain stories and they're trying to basically sell him themselves, aren't they? I mean, it doesn't look good for Zirkzee. I mean, Van Nistelrooy gave him one start in his spell. That was the game against Leicester. He hasn't really done much. 1 goal, 2 assists in his 17 appearances for Manchester United. But more importantly, he's only made 7 starts. So Ten Hag wasn't trusting in him, and Ruud van Nistelrooy didn't want to trust in him either. So what makes us think that Ruben AMORIM will? Will the system suit him? Well, I can't see him playing at 9. I don't think he is a 9. And with the 2 10s that Ruben AMORIM plays, you've got an abundance of players that are miles ahead of him, I would feel, in the likes of Bruno, Mason Mount, Garnacho, Ahmad, Rashford. All of these players, I feel, are ahead of him. Will Rashford be pushed into a number 9 and compete with Rasmus Højlund? I think that's what we've got to look at as well. I think the way that AMORIM plays, there is an emphasis on the wing-backs, obviously, providing the width. There's no more inverted wing-backs or winger crap. It is pure wing-backs getting up and down that line, supporting defence and attack. And you've got a three-prong attack centrally. So it's going to be a complete different approach for Manchester United. You have to look at players that fit that. Now, Zirkzee could be one of them 10s. But honestly, the intensity factor, that's the problem, I think, with Zirkzee right now. And I think that's where everybody sees him struggling under AMORIM and struggling to keep his spot in Manchester United's side. Surely it is got to be with that, because he isn't, let's just say, agile. He isn't very fast. He's strong. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some worrying signs when he gets knocked off the ball. Like the size of the guy, I don't think anybody should be knocking him off the ball. He's an absolute beast. And you'd thought he would be able to utilise them attributes in the Premier League anyway, but he hasn't. And it's a concern how both Erik ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy didn't play him in their sides. They weren't trusting of him. Like the starts that he's had. I mean, we were all excited. He came on off the bench and got the winning goal against Fulham. It was a fantastic start. He had a good performance against Southampton away from home. I remember that game. He looked quality in that one. But besides that, I'm struggling to find anything that's really convinced any Manchester United fan. I was on TalkSport yesterday and they were doing a keep or sell, going in with players that are currently in and amongst it at Manchester United's first team. And I said I would keep Joshua Zirkzee. I think he needs time and needs to be given a chance. Look, I feel like every single player should be judged after 2 years. And I think then the decision should be made. Whether or not that changes with Ineos, they want to have a quicker turnaround, I don't know. But realistically, how are you supposed to hit the ground running when you're coming from Italy at the age you are? I mean, I know some players do, and some players are that type of player that just thrives on the big move and the pressure and everything like that. But Manchester United, I feel like we do need to give players time. It's a lot to take in. It's not only a completely different country, a completely different league, a standard of football, and the intensity factor, like we've said, all of that rolled into what Zirkzee is dealing with right now. You've got the Man United factor. And it's like them quotes that Manuel Ugarte came out with yesterday, and he's obviously a new signing that's finding his feet at United right now, is you know that Manchester United is a big club, but until you arrive, you don't really realise, sorry, I said that wrong there, you do come to know exactly how big it is. And I think that is true in the sense with Joshua Zirkzee as well. He has to probably slim down. He has to probably be a little bit more mobile. He's going to have to work damn hard to get into this side, because at the moment and how he's playing and how he is operating on the pitch and getting around, I don't feel... Yeah, it's a good point from Graham there. He did play well in the Palace game as well. But again, in a position where he was getting in the way of others, I thought. And if you don't know where a player's best position is, then I think that player is destined to be doomed. I do. It's like that with every player in the Premier League. If you've got a player that you cannot pinpoint his best position, then you've got a problem. Like, versatile players are great, and they do come in handy throughout the season when you need them through injuries or needing to rest and rotate. I get all of that. But if you've got a player that you don't know his best position, then you cannot plan ahead. That's the problem I think we've got with Zirkzee. I don't think we know where his best position is. When he was playing in Italy, he was picking up the ball deep. He was driving at defences. Look, Italy is a different ball game altogether. I've heard so many different pundits come out talking about Zirkzee and how different the Premier League is to Serie A. And it is completely different. I think Van der Vaart was one of them. Paolo Di Canio was talking about it as well, saying he just needs to go back to Italy. He just does not suit the Premier League. And that is the brutal outlook, I feel, from a lot of Manchester United fans and football fans in general on Zirkzee. Look, it's just too much for him. I think a lot of people are looking at it that way. And we have gone into this realm, this zone of judging players instantly. They need to have that instant impact. We're talking about Zirkzee here, 3 months into his career, and a manager in Ten Hag that was obviously struggling to find his best team, a team that was struggling to find form. He's come in with everything that I've just said. He's young, new league, new country, the pressure of Manchester United, a struggling Manchester United, and we want to bin him off instantly. I see people's argument and worries about Zirkzee, that he's not got it, his touch is horrible. I can hear it in the crowd when I'm sat there. I understand it totally. I get it. Like, everybody wants the best. Everybody expects the best at Manchester United, and they expect the best quickly. it doesn't always work that way, I feel. And I think Zirkzee is a victim of the pressure that has been mounted on Manchester United players because of the failures of the ones that have been there for too long. I do. It's like whenever someone comes in, it's like the same with the youngsters, like I said the other day. It's like we're putting pressure on Garnacho, we're putting pressure on Kobbie Mainoo. It's not on them. It shouldn't be on them to turn this ship around that is Manchester United. It should be the senior players. But because they've been so bad, it's now looked upon by all fans that when players come in, he is the answer. 42 million, we're not going to waste that money. He's got to be great. He's got to come straight in. Look, it would be, if this happens and United go out and find a striker, I can't see it happening. It would, for me, go down as the biggest transfer flop in history. And that's not on Joshua Zirkzee. That's on Manchester United. People were saying that Ten Hag didn't actually want him, wasn't keen on him. He was the one that was ringing him every single day. He was the one that knew Manchester United was scouting him in January when Ineos were even in power. Or Ruud van Nistelrooy wasn't even a pipe dream, or we was going to be having Ruben AMORIM in or anything like that. So this transfer was in the offing back in January last year. Sorry, back in January this year, when the transfer window was open last season. Manchester United were looking then at Zirkzee. They were scouting him then. So Ten Hag would have known. And I think it's a bit of a cop-out, and he's kind of throwing the player under the bus a little bit here, I feel. I do think that Ruben AMORIM will find more out of Joshua Zirkzee, but I do believe that he has to accept that he is going to be down that pecking order. And does that automatically make people feel like Joshua Zirkzee is a flop? Because we spent 42 million euros on him, and he's not a starter. In a season and a pre-season where we needed to bring players in that made Manchester United's first team better, we have bought another player for a big amount of money that is not a first team player. That's what I was saying last night as well, in particular, that going into the transfer window now with Ruben AMORIM, I feel like we need to be buying players that are going to come into the first team rather than players that we're going to look to develop and bring in time. Yes, you can bring them in at lower levels at the right prices, like we've discussed with certain players. But if you're going to be spending big money on a certain player, I'm talking 30 million upwards, you have to be thinking that player is going to come into the first team and contribute. And you've got to be realistic with Zirkzee and say, look, he looked like the right type of player. He scored a few goals in Serie A. He's come to United. He's struggled. Like, don't get me wrong, this guy's won more trophies and has got more winners' medals than pretty much 3/4 of the Manchester United squad. He was on the books at Bayern Munich, an academy graduate from Bayern Munich, making games and appearances for them. Like, he's a call-up every single international break to the Dutch international side. So there is something there. And we need to develop him and obviously find out what the main quality is of him. But more importantly, I feel, and the biggest problem is finding a position that we know he's going to play in. I just don't know. But with this system change coming in with Ruben AMORIM, with 2 10s, this might be the answer. Problem is, can he develop? Can he get better? Because there are better players ahead of him for the number 10. And that's the reality right now. But that is a reality that nearly every player should be going through at Manchester United. That should be what is happening at the football club, I feel. And I think that we have to be honest that sometimes players won't be what we hoped. Sometimes players won't be as good as what they looked at other football clubs. And they probably are just going to fit into a squad. I just feel like we didn't need another 10. I thought we were buying a number 9. I thought that's what we was going to play him as, but he cannot play there. So poor recruitment again from Manchester United on that side of it. And one probably little blotch on Ineos's card, you could say. Maybe. Like everything else I feel has worked great. I'm looking at the other 4 signings that have come in. And obviously Yoro's got to come through yet, but we know he will have his moment. Everyone else is having a big impact and really improving Manchester United right now. But it does look like the Joshua Zirkzee one was the one that probably shouldn't have happened. We should have been looking elsewhere for a forward. We should have been looking for an out-and-out number 9. People will always say, look, it should have been Ivan Toney. It should have been a player that's going to guarantee you goals. That would be the difference for Manchester United. So, yeah, I get all of that. And Zirkzee now is going to be a victim of it. It's not his fault that he was brought in. Manchester United thought they'd scouted and recruited the right type of player. Like, we know what the qualities of Zirkzee is, so where was we going to play him? Ten Hag and his analysis of it was he brings us something different to the attack. Well, no, he doesn't. He's bigger than everyone else in the side, but he's going to play a similar role to what a Mount, an Ahmad, a Bruno Fernandes, a Kobe Mainoo who gets forward in that position as well. He's going to bring exactly the same as all them, but just not as good. And that's the concern, I feel. But just to round it up on Zirkzee, I'm going to come to the chat on him now and get your opinions, everyone. I just feel like he isn't agile enough or intense enough in how he plays to fit an AMORIM system. Let's see. Hopefully, AMORIM can turn him around and Manchester United can move forward quickly with him and he can have a bit of a turnaround of form and fortune. That's what I'm hoping anyway. Super chat in from You Got Raws. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate that. Good to have options in case Zirkzee doesn't work out under United. But Juve is known for being cheap when it comes to offers. True. Don't think they give us what I want for Zirkzee, what we paid minus a year. We can't mess up PSR. No, You Got Raws. Bang on the money. I honestly feel like Zirkzee is going nowhere. It may be a decision to have in the summer, but let's not forget, Manchester United might have to use Zirkzee into next season if other players in that front line are sold in the summer. That's me. He is not my biggest concern in that Manchester United side right now. He really isn't. I think there are bigger issues at hand, and we all know what they are. So I want to talk about Zirkzee. I want to give him that chance. Obviously, we're going to talk about it because there's headlines about him, but still, I feel like there are other issues at hand, and Zirkzee deserves at least a bit more time and a chance, does he not? Or do we have to be even more brutal? AMORIM should consider sacking Rashford, but he's quite a waste. It's quite a waste now. United really need a new scouser now. I want to see Zirkzee as an inside forward in AMORIM's system before judging him. That's fair enough, QA. I get that. It's like I just said then. Let's see if AMORIM can turn him around. Almac says Zirkzee isn't the biggest flop because Anthony and Mason Mount are ahead of him. If he's sold in January, he will be, mate, because that's accepting that it is, really. I just don't see this happening. But yeah, the reports are there in Italy, and that's why we're talking about it. But I feel like that's putting pressure on Manchester United more than anything. With the transfer window around the corner, I think they're just trying to get their sort of feelers out and test the waters with everything. But let's not forget, there is a full-on clean slate under Ruben Amorim that everybody's going to take advantage of. Hopefully. You would hope they would anyway. Funny you say this about Zirkzee when Højlund also look lost and weak every single game. At worst, we need 2 new strikers, but let's give Zirkzee a chance, shall we? Yeah, I get what you're saying, Anton, but Rasmus Højlund in a horrible season last season was our leading goal scorer. So he has pedigree and form within the Premier League. 16 goals last season for him. That's better than a lot of young strikers making their first appearance. He is only 21. Zirkzee's a bit older, obviously. I think with Rasmus Højlund, I get it. If we're going to have a go at Zirkzee, we've got to have a go at him as well because he has been poor. But I feel like Højlund has. I feel like Højlund just needs to train a little bit more and actually master his craft a little bit. And maybe with this new setup coming in, we'll get more out of him. But I feel like he is more adaptable to what the Premier League is right now. And having that season under his belt, and with it being so poor last season, and him still performing better than any other forward in United's side, you could say, I think he is probably looked at as not as much of an issue. I think it's simply because we've just bought Zirkzee in now, and he's not played. 7 starts this season so far for one of the first signings, actually the first signing under the Ineos reign. It is a little bit concerning on that side, and maybe people are looking at it that way. Adam, do you think Zirkzee should be a front runner for the remake of Camp? The remake of Camp? What do you mean by that one, Jamie? I'm not sure what you mean there. If the Joker Rashford gets a chance from Amorim, I'm damn sure Zirkzee deserves a chance. Exactly. Delta 100%. Mason Mount is doing his best at Manchester United. Højlund better than Zirkzee 100%. Michelle says he needs developing, which is something Erik ten Hag is useless at. Another good point. I can't wait for the end of this 6-month player trials. I think a lot of the fans will be shocked who makes the cut and who doesn't. Thank God the new regime don't listen to fan pressure post not sacking Erik ten Hag. I thought, yeah, it's a good job you put that bit in there at the end there, Director of Football. We will see, won't we? We will see. It is exciting to see what happens off the back of that. It is. Morning, Adam. How many chances has Rashford had over the years? Zirkzee should be given a chance under AMORIM. They all will. Zirkzee just needs to add aggression to his game. He has good ability. I think he probably needs to add a little bit more speed, agility. I think the strength should be utilised. I can't believe it's not being. But like I said before, he is an absolute beast of a man. He's built like a proper tank, and I just wish he could actually use that. Thank you for all the likes, by the way, everybody. Already over 100. Cheers for that. Over 7,500 in the room with us. Thank you. Make sure you keep liking the video, and obviously make sure you have subscribed as well. If you do subscribe, you can get involved in the live chat, which many have. Lonan says he hasn't even had a full season. Look at Darwin now at Liverpool. It was the same kind of situation. Very true. Very true. Slow footwork, longer reaction time, but he is a bull. Unshakable, says Rakesh. And Gehan says, well, Anthony might be good. He was played out of position. True. Why play a left winger on the right for 2 seasons? Because we wanted inverted wingers. That was the previous manager. So let's see what happens with the new one. I think that's right in what everyone's saying there. Look, let's see what AMORIM can get out of Joshua Zirkzee. And then I think we can start judging it even more. But yeah, I think it's important. On the actual what is happening with the clear out and why Manchester United got rid of Ruud van Nistelrooy, it's a great piece from the Muppeteers. The reason for the departure of Ruud van Nistelrooy and other staff is that they want fresh eyes on everything and want to look at things on an entirely clean slate. No preformed relationships with concerns over favouritism. There's more to this here. I'm just going to read it out. They don't want the dressing room players feeling like, well, this is happening because Ruud likes me sort of scenario. They want AMORIM and his team making all of the assessments and decisions over the team and everything. And there's nobody else who has any influence on any kind, on it of any kind, no holdovers. So basically the breakdown is from what the Muppeteers were saying there on their analysis of what they know and why Ruud van Nistelrooy was released is, we know that Van Nistelrooy was a Ten Hag signing. We know that all the other coaches that have left were all Ten Hag people coming in. And anyone sort of related to the club, yes, you can bring Darren Fletcher into this argument. A few people have come back at me on last night's show about Darren Fletcher, and they disagree with what I said about him being good. I get it, I do. Like, if you're going to get rid of Ruud, why we not get rid of Darren Fletcher? What does Darren Fletcher do? Could the players go to him and moan? Look, there's no one else. The most important thing out of all of this is, we're talking about coaches here that players can go to and moan and bitch, like what was said in that piece there, in line with the concern that some players made us use Ruud van Nistelrooy as the scapegoat, as the go-to. Well, I'm playing because Ruud played me in this 4-game interim period. I know that Ruud likes me, so he'll speak to the manager for me. Basically, be a middleman for all the complaints of Manchester United players instead of going to the main man, which is Ruben Amorim. Ruud leaving is, and the Ineos look on this is that like no player now has got any excuse whatsoever. No player is going to go to anyone else at Manchester United. Look, they can speak to their agents all they want. They can leak out whatever they want to, but Ineos are not going to budge on it. Look, you've got Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada sat there right now, and they're just going to go, you can moan and bitch all you want. If you're going to, then you can leave. Look, Wilcox isn't going to give him any leeway. He's not there. And I said this when all of these people came in at the structure and formed the structure at United. When everyone came in, everybody was looking at it and going, well, we can see it's still the same players, it's still the same manager, it's still all this is the same. They're They're just the puppets for the Glazers. Look, they're not going to put their reputations on the line and come in and let the players walk all over them. They've got a team right behind this manager right now that is going to back him, and they're going to back themselves alongside doing it with these players. Look, we know that this squad has failed season in, season out, and the managers that have been in probably haven't had the right type of backing. And now Ineos have got their man in. I feel like there is nowhere else to go. Van Nistelrooy not being there, I mean, I didn't mind if he stayed. I don't think he is that character. I don't think Ruud would fall into that trap, personally, of being that scapegoat for the players or causing any sort of favouritism issues within. Everybody right now is coming back from international break or their breaks or time off to Ruben AMORIM and his team. It's like they're all lined up waiting. They're all going to roll into the car park, and there's Ruben and his team. Right, boys, this is it. What we're saying. Show us now. We don't know anyone's ability. They know it from watching. They know reputations. But who at that football club right now is going to tell them about each one of these players? They are looking at a Manchester United side that are way off the pace right now, and they're going to figure out why they're off the pace. They're going to figure out between them, Ruben and his staff, why Manchester United are so bad, and they'll make the judgment from there. And there's no egos, there's no paychecks, there's no squad numbers, captains, favourites with the fans. There's none of that in that on that training ground when it all kicks off next week, when everybody's back from international duty. It's going to be them figuring out who fits their system, and that's why he's bringing in his whole team, and that's why the original team has all gone. It's completely been rinsed, and there is nothing left. Everything that they knew has gone when they come back from international duty, and that's exactly how it needed to be. And that's how Manchester United move forward. Because unless you have a fresh outlook on it, they are not going to proceed. They're not going to get any further. It's just going to be the same thing, recycling over and over and over again, and we're just going to have the same old problems. So now that this is all cleared up, and we have a completely clean slate, like has been said, it's time for the players to show what they are made of. And I really hope that they are brutal with how they look at them. They have to be. Stick to your guns and your system, and we will go from there. Zirkzee deserves patience, not attention. He deserves attention. He deserves help from this football club in getting better. I don't know if he's had it or not. I don't know if he's had the best training or the best one-on-ones with Ten Hag and the other coaches. I don't know. Nobody knows. But quite clearly, he looks a bit lost right now. So let's see what we can get out of him. I mean, he does deserve a little bit more, I feel. And I think he's been made a little bit of a scapegoat. Let's get into some of the chats. That sets Ruud up horrifically to be a villain among the rest of the coaching staff, though. He deserves better than that. This is the best option. I think that was just replying to someone. A fresh pair of eyes to point out the flaws in the team. It's good strategy in principle. The club is getting the revamp it needs in staff ways anyway. He's a link-up player. If we are going to play possession football, he's essential. I'm guessing that is Zirkzee on that one. The right thing was done here. Ruud van Nistelrooy going is better for him. I agree. I think he will now go on elsewhere, Van Nistelrooy, and I think he'll be a success wherever he goes. I think he will, and I think it's important that he now looks back on what he did at Manchester United as a massive positive, because every single fan looked at what he did as a big sort of like turning point for this football club. He set the wheels in motion on this turning of the page, and I think that was important. And he did play a big part in all of this. He did. Sai, that was the super chat previously was from Sai. Sorry, I should have read that out there. Zirkzee deserves patience, not attention. Another super chat in from Staffo says, is Bruno captaincy at risk? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you... I mean, you look at what Bruno has done and how Bruno is as a captain. You could question him on the pitch all you want, but the conversation, reading into what he did with Manuel Ugarte, how he reached out to Palestre to get his number, and his contact details to get him in touch with him and then like welcome him into the club. He does a lot of good captain things around the club, Bruno. I'm not just saying this because they're both Portuguese and AMORIM was going to look at Bruno as his leader. Look, Bruno is Manchester United's leader, I feel. He's the one that has been more consistent than any player, and that is debatable amongst a lot of fans in how he plays. I get it, but he is an ever-present, and let's be honest, I look at everyone else in that squad right now. I think there are captains. I do. I like Casemiro as a captain. I like De Ligt as a captain. I think they've got captain qualities in them. You could say Martinez, but I think he's a bit of a loose cannon at the moment. There's some seriously worrying tackle going in from that guy right now, and he's getting away with quite a bit. So, yeah, I will just sort of see how he develops. But he has got captain material in just like the pure passion factor, I feel, and how he plays. So, yeah, I think that is there as well. Although, yeah, to answer them super chats, I feel like, everything is up for grabs. Bruno's captaincy, one of them, maybe. I doubt it, though, personally, for me. But can debate it still and still talk about it in the chat if you want. Super chat from Glenn. Thank you, Glenn. Best moment was the tweet saying players expect Rude to get the job. Then 2 minutes later, Ineos said FUTV to the players. We got AMORIM. I like that one. Great super chat. I was wondering what the FUTV bit was then, but it clicked in. Ineos said FU to the players. We've got AMORIM. Yeah, that's brilliant. I do get what you mean by that. Another super chat from you, got Rawls. Thank you, second one of the stream. Love that, mates. I'd like to think that the older players are going to get pushed out and they will work with the people 25 and under to see what they have. Højlund has so much potential. Interesting on the actual recruitment structure and strategy that United have got, like players under the age of 25. Will they be pushing AMORIM into looking at the future of this football club rather than looking at the old guard? We cannot build a team around the older players. Can you find something within this squad of the younger players that we can push forward with going into the future? That's something that I think needs to be looked at as well. So, yeah, I feel like there will be an element of that. And obviously we know, like, there's a chance. Well, we know that Maguire, we know that Eriksen, they're all going to be gone. Lindelof, another player in his 30s. The age of Manchester United, the average age of that squad, is going to go down drastically this summer. We know that. So I think that is where we're actually moving towards. Then you've got Casemiro. Is he going to be let go? Obviously, that's 3 seasons into his big contract now. He has contributed to 2 trophies coming in. So you could say you've had value for Casemiro. And right now, he's a leader on that pitch. The partnership with Manuel Ugarte has been outstanding. And I think Ruben will tap into that. I think he does need some experience in this side as well. Because you're going to have a lot of players that are excited, yes, that there is a new system coming in. And there is that sort of like young player bounce and excitement about going into a new system. And all of the, let's just say the bounce. I'll keep to the bounce, of going in. It just feels like he's going to need that little bit of know-how to help him out. And I think Casemiro could be key in all of this. Casemiro, De Ligt, Martinez are way above Bruno when it comes to being a captain. Bruno is far too emotional for me. He's so petulant. He reminds me of a 2-year-old having a tantrum, waving his arms. Ten Hag was sacked. Ruud van Nistelrooy took over, and still there was no change in Rashford. He must leave. I was listening to the radio last night coming back from Huddersfield. I want to talk about that game as well in a minute. And I heard someone ring up talking about Rashford, saying, look, I backed Rashford. I backed him last season. I gave him the benefit of doubt, and I'm a late comer to wanting Rashford gone, but he looks lost. He looks lost. He looks like he's not interested. He looks like a man that's not enjoying anything about his football at United right now. And ultimately, we are trying to get something out of him that is not there. And sometimes you just have to call it. Look, we've given it our best go. As a club, as a whole, we've given it everything we possibly can. And it's not worked. And Marcus Rashford has to leave. Simple as that. That's what a lot of people will look at it as. Zirkzee will come good because he got the talent and just needs to build his confidence. But Rasmus has no football brain to play at the top level. We are United. I disagree. I like Rasmus Højlund. I think he has got qualities there. I think he just needs that pointer. I think he needs another striker in there to help him, to be honest. And we'll see if this new system suits him any better. It'll be interesting to see if they offload any defenders if AMORIM's playing a back three. Well, we know that 3 of them are going to be gone in the summer, in Evans, Maguire and Lindelof. So, inevitably, yes, we will be getting rid of defenders. Talking of defenders, I was at Huddersfield last night watching the under-23s game against Huddersfield Town. Bad night for United, losing 4-1, but the squad was depleted with international duty. A representative from Huddersfield came up to us in the press area and said, look, there's only 3 players that have left the squad and got on international duty from Huddersfield. That starting lineup last night would have been what they'd have been going into a league game with, and that's experienced pro players against some very, very young Manchester United players last night. So, yes, it looks bad on paper, but look, for a long period of that game, for a good hour, Manchester United were competitive with a fully fit, fully available League One side. And you can say League One, well, what standards are we looking at here, Adam? But when you've got players like Kone coming in, who's not played full 90 minutes yet, players like Malacia, who hasn't played for 18 months, young under-18 players as well, playing in that team, then you have to look at it and put it in perspective. Great experience for the lads last night. Unlucky with the result. A lot of the goals came in late in a big burst, so it was flattering for Huddersfield, the result, I thought, in terms of the scoreline. But disappointment last night. Kone was struggling in the game and then he got injured. It looks like a bad ankle injury. He left on crutches and a protective boot. We'll wait for analysis on that. I've got a video of his highlights up on the channel, so if you want to know how both Kone and Malacia did last night in that half of football, go and watch them videos. They're up on the channel after this live show finishes, obviously, because you want to still keep talking. But yeah, disappointing night for Kone with the injury and struggled in parts. So shows some really good moments in the game again, but I think he's just a little bit raw at the moment and finding his feet. It would be a good experience for him that last night. But Tyrell Malacia last night, brilliant. Everything he did was perfect. Everything he did was what you'd expect. Yes, his fitness isn't there yet. Yes, he's a little bit behind the pace, as you'd expect for 18 months out. But that's 45 minutes in a very competitive game against a decent League One side in terms of the players that they had out first team-wise on that pitch. And Malacia looked good last night. Really impressed. I think another 45 minutes, maybe. We've got another game next week, the under-21s. So we'll see if Malacia goes out again. And maybe we can get maybe a bit longer out of him, maybe an hour or something like that. But no injury issues, no reoccurrence of any problems for Malacia. And I feel like another under-21 game next week and more training with the first team. I think we're looking at Tyrell Malacia being fully available within another 3 weeks. I don't think he's going to be in the squad for the Ipswich game. I think he needs a bit more game time. Maybe some games behind closed doors or something like that as well. But from what I watched last night, Malacia definitely looks like he's on the right road to recovery. Now he's got minutes in his legs, actually in competitive football. He's been training for 3 weeks straight now with the first team, like full-on first-team training sessions. I don't think it's going to be long before we see Malacia out on the pitch again for Manchester United, and that is a massive plus. I would say that he is going to be probably similar to what Luke Shaw is. Like, Luke Shaw is back in training, and I feel like he's another couple of weeks away. I think we're going to probably get Malacia and Luke Shaw back at the same time, which is great. Lenny Yoro, as we know, is doing his training as well. Mason Mount's back in the squad as well. And the squad right now is looking really healthy, and it is a massive plus point for Ruben AMORIM to walk into Manchester United, and where we thought he'd be walking in and going into that treatment room just to see who might be available, he's now walking into a completely different looking Manchester United squad with players there that really do need to prove a point. I don't take anything into the coincidental side of things that now Ten Hag has gone, everybody's fit and available. I'm not going that deep into it, but one thing I will say is that to have options And to see who wants to work within the new system is going to be key. I would rather have everyone available for AMORIM now, obviously, because we want more options. But in terms of what we're talking about and the summer and who makes that cut list or not, I think it's great to have everyone available to see, like, test out everyone's reactions to other players getting in ahead of them. So it might be Luke Shaw, it might be Malacia. It could even be Dalot or Mazraoui on the left, depending on which way he goes with it. It could be one of the forwards at wing back. Well, it's good to see. What will be good to see, is how them players react to not being that first choice for AMORIM in this new system. Then we'll see what the mettle is of these players, and if there's any reaction from it. I think that's important as well from this. Let's get into some of the comments on Malacia. Did anyone watch the game last night? Did you see it? If you haven't, do go and watch my highlights of Malacia and tell me what you think as well on that video. We're not far away from 200 live likes for the morning show, which is mega. Thank you, everyone. Just under 900 in the room with us right now. Make sure you have subscribed to Forever United TV as well, so you can get involved in the chat. And make sure you give the video a like. Thank you, everyone. Let's get into some of them comments now. I've never been a fan of a single player as a captain. In the 90s, we had a whole team of captains. That is the top standard that we need to reach. Our winner's mindset is seriously lacking. Mr. Dacia Sanero. Amir says, "Are waiting you playback." I'm not sure what that is. I think we'll see Rasmus grow under AMORIM again. Yeah, I do as well. Jason says, I think Zirkzee had a nice cameo of what he is about against Leicester. He had some good moments in a couple of games off the bench as well, I think, Zirkzee. People get used to starting the vids and clicking the like button straight away. It's the least you can do for free content. Thanks, John. Look, I'm not pushing anyone to do it, but I really do love it. I would love it if you did. He will never win or even challenge for a major title with Rashford in the team. The proof is in the pudding, says the Muppet Show. Mark says, I am most excited to see what AMORIM is going to do with Garnacho, Højlund and Ahmad on the front line. Will he even play them three in his front line? It's a question that's got to be asked, because Bruno's got to fit in somewhere, and he will play Bruno. You know he will, because Bruno's got the engine that AMORIM needs, and I feel like he will be his go-to. I'm convinced of it. I don't think there's any risk of Bruno being dropped out of this side right now, but we'll see. I might be wrong on that. The decision to keep Erik ten Hag and give him millions to spend in the summer is the worst decision since Nigel Farage parents felt a bit randy. Thank you, Sat. An image I don't want to have in my head, but it's there now. Thank you. We are pushing for top 4 or treating the remainder of the season as a development opportunity. It's got to be top 4. So Ruben Amorim has got to make some tough old decisions, it would seem, on certain players. If he wants to make top 4, then there are going to be players in that squad that we all know are not going to help him get there. But there are opportunities within that squad as well. And there are players that will prosper under Ruben Amorim, I feel. And I think we just need to find him. I think we need to find a system that fits them together. And I think he will. I'm confident. Interesting to see what Contral said in the media as well about Ruben Amorim, saying Manchester United have definitely just got the best manager out there. Everybody who talks about Ruben Amorim, who has worked with him, speaks in such glowing terms about him. Surely we have got the right man now. I know it's a big if. And I know things can go wrong at United. We've seen it before. We've been on this ride before, haven't we? I know everyone's saying the same thing, but it has to be different this time. Otherwise, I'm really worried about what might happen. Adam, what's going to happen to Amas now playing wing-backs? I think Amas suits the wing-back role. He came on in the second half for Malacia last night, Harry Amas. And you can see the qualities, the speed, the dynamism in his game. He isn't fully developed. Let's not forget, he is only a teenager still. But I think there's a chance for him as well. And this is what I'm talking about, in being intrigued to see if players don't make the grade or don't make that first team for Ruben Amorim, or he starts using one player in particular, that player who could also play in that position. What does he do? When he gets the chance, when he comes on the pitch, is he going to take that opportunity? That's what I want to see. And that is what should push United to the top 4. Competition for places should be what gets United further up that table. It has to. It has to. That is your morning update, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Over 200 likes. Absolutely loved that. Thank you, everybody, for being involved. The contributions as well from everyone, all the super chats. Thank you so much. Please keep commenting on the video once it has finished. It's live. Get your points across there. And I will see you all through the day. I'll keep you posted with everything that's happening throughout the day. I'll be back live later this evening as well, of course. Back to the normal schedule as well. And yeah, have a fantastic day. Make sure you do subscribe. That's up on the screen now, and the other content that is there from my videos last night. And we will see you